Hello everyone, good afternoon. Am I audible and visible? Somebody please ping me so that I can begin with today's important and short session. Yes, yes, Krishna, good afternoon. Just a second. Just give me a second. We'll begin just within a second. Yes, Vipul, Jai Hind. Yes, hello friends. Hi, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. So, we are going through 15 important topics of Indian history, and by now we have covered varied topics of ancient Indian history, medieval Indian history, and certain aspects of modern Indian history. Like we have covered important governor generals, important charter acts. In today's short session of 25 to 30 minutes, we are going to throw light on important peasant movements. Yes, Afroz, good afternoon. So, without wasting any more time, let's begin our today's important and short session. Please have a pen and paper along with you so that you guys can note down the important and key points. Because here we are going to discuss the points only from the perspective of prelims examination. So here I'll be throwing light on key points. Is that clear to all of you? So it's a request, please have a pen and paper along with you and let's begin. Indigo agitation of Bengal or Indigo revolt, which took place in 1859-1860. Okay. Now, usually you have to remember majority of the leaders associated with the important peasant movement. And in UPSC examinations, questions do crop up on that. Clear? So, Indigo agitation of Bengal, it took place immediately after revolt of 1857. And indigo, it's a commercial crop. I'll give you a very simple example. Agriculture is majorly categorized into two important categories. That is subsistence agriculture and commercialized agriculture. Suppose I'm a farmer, I'm a peasant, and if I go for subsistence agriculture, I will cultivate only those crops which are important for sustaining my livelihood. On the other hand, if I go for commercialized agriculture, I will cultivate those crops which are high in demand in the national as well as international market. For example, tobacco, poppy, opium, sugarcane, cotton, indigo. All these are commercial crops. So when Britishers came to India, they forced our peasants to cultivate commercial crops. And one such commercial crop was indigo. Now, indigo, it is used as a dye and it actually increases the shelf life of the cloths. And it can only be cultivated in subtropical and tropical countries. And India is one among them. So Britishers, when they came to India, they forced the peasants of India to cultivate indigo. Now, it is said that indigo was cultivated in the region of Bengal under two systems. One system was Nij system and the second system was Rayati system. Nij means the private land, the land that was hired by the Britishers or the land that was owned by the Britishers. So indigo was cultivated on that land. And Rayati system. As a part of Rayati system, the peasants were specifically forced to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their land. For example, suppose if I have 10 bighas of land, I have to cultivate indigo compulsorily on 2.5 bighas of my land. And if I say as a peasant that I don't have money to cultivate indigo, Britishers will say, do not worry, we will give you the loans. So these loans were referred as Deccan. Okay, so peasants with the passage of time, they got indebted. Why they got indebted? There was a reason behind this. Like they had to pay a huge interest rate on the loans that was being provided to them by the Britishers. So after some time, the peasants said that we are not going to cultivate indigo. Okay, and the plight of the peasants was highlighted by a newspaper, that is Hindu Patriot, and the newspaper's editor was Harish Chandra Mukherjee. Apart from this, Digambar Biswas and Vishnu Charan Biswas were the two key leaders of indigo agitation of Bengal. Okay, in fact, there's a drama, there's a play written on indigo agitation of Bengal, which is also referred as Neel Darpan. Okay, this question have been asked in the UPSC prelims examination. So Neel Darpan, it's a play written by whom? It's a play written by Deen Bandhu Mitra. And this play is majorly related to indigo agitation of Bengal. So I'll repeat the points again within short. If you want to note it down, please note it down. It took place immediately after revolt of 1857. peasants were forced to cultivate indigo under two systems, Nij and Rayati system. Nij means the private land of the Britishers or the indigo planters. Rayati means peasants were forced to cultivate indigo on 25% of their land. Third important thing, Hindu Patriot, a local newspaper specifically edited by Harishchandra Mukherjee, portrayed the plight of the peasants. Apart from this, Digambar Biswas and Vishnucharan Biswas were the leaders of the revolt and they supported the cause of the peasants. And finally comes, there's a play written on indigo agitation of Bengal, which is referred as Neel Darpan. I repeat, Neel Darpan, written by Deen Bandhu Mitra. Hope so the point is clear to all of you. Moving ahead. Pabna unrest of East Bengal. Okay. Now, before I speak about Pabna unrest of East Bengal, let me talk about one important aspect. Like, what is Zamindari system all about? We have seen Zamindari system of land revenue in quite depth and detail when we have studied about the important governor generals. Now, as a part of Zamindari system, English East India Company directly did not collected the revenue from the peasants initially. Okay, so what did the Britishers do? Britishers collected, like specifically, Britishers appointed Zamindar. These Zamindars used to collect the revenue from the peasants, and after collecting the revenue from the peasants, what happened? They used to keep their commission and give the revenue to the Britishers specifically. 89% of the revenue went to the Britishers. 89%. Zamindari system of land revenue is also referred as permanent settlement, and it came up during the time of Lord Cornwallis, who is also referred as blue-blooded aristocrat. Okay. So, why it is referred as a permanent settlement? It is referred as permanent settlement because for the next 1 decade, that is for next 10 years, the tax slab would be fixed. Okay. Now, what was the problem here? 89% of the revenue went to the company. For example, if I'm a peasant, okay, I earned rupees 150. Now, I have to give 100 rupees as a tax to the government. So, Zamindar has taken 100 rupees from me and given it to the British government. 50 rupees is left. But Britishers did not decide the clear-cut bifurcation that how will the 50 rupees be divided between Zamindar and the peasant. And that became the major cause of clash between the two. Usually, Zamindars used to exploit the peasants and cultivators a lot. For example, suppose 50 rupees is remaining. Zamindar will keep 40 rupees and 10 rupees would be given to the peasants. And apart from this, anytime, as I've talked about this, like precisely speaking, as a part of Zamindari system, the taxes were fixed for a span of 10 years, that is for a decade. But here the Zamindars used to increase the taxes at their own will. And if the peasants are not ready to pay the increased taxes, what will they do? They will seize their land. So here it is said that the movement began from Pabna region of Yusuf Shahi Pargana, which is located presently in East Bengal, that is in Bangladesh. Okay. Now they declared that our district is completely free from Zamindari control. And at that time, Sir George Campbell suggested the peasants that you should knock the doors of the court. You should go through legal process. And in fact, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, R.C. Dattaji, who has written a book, Economic History of India, and Surendranath Banerjee, all of them supported the cause of the peasants as a part of Pabna unrest. And Ishan Chandra Roy, he was the leader of Pabna unrest. So this was one of the major reasons for Pabna unrest, specifically which took place around 1873 to 76 in Yusuf Shahi Pargana, that is present-day region of Bangladesh. Hope so the points are clear till here. Yes, friends, any question, any doubt, any query, please feel free to ask. Okay. Moving ahead with Deccan riots 1875. Okay, in the end, I would be asking you a few questions, and the questions won't be related just to peasant movement. I'll also ask the questions related to the previous things that we have covered. Is that clear? Okay, Deccan riots. Now, before we understand about Deccan riots, we also need to understand one more important thing, and that is nothing but Rayatwari system of land revenue. Now, Rayatwari system of land revenue, it came up during the time of Lord Hastings, who is oftenly referred as Lord Moira. And it was implemented in Bombay Presidency by specifically Elphiston and Thomas Munro and Captain Reed's in Madras Presidency. Now, what is Rayatwari system all about? Let's understand. Right now, we have seen about Zamindari system. As a part of Zamindari system, Britishers directly collected the revenue from the peasants. No, sorry, Britishers directly did not collect the revenue from the peasants. Britishers had appointed Zamindar who will collect the revenue from the peasant, keep his commission and give the money to the Britishers. Correct? But as a part of Rayatwari system, Britishers directly collected the revenue from the cultivators. They directly collected the revenue from the peasants. Okay? Now, in such a case, as a part of Rayatwari system, it is said that the revenue was collected on the basis of quality of the soil. The land which was fertile, the expected revenue was approximately 60 to 66%. The land that was average, neither too fertile nor barren, the expected revenue from that land was 50 to 55%. On the other hand, the land which was barren, okay, the barren land had to pay approximately 40 to 45% tax. And this tax as per Britishers was less. Okay, so Britishers directly collected the revenue from the peasants. In such a situation, if the peasants are unable to pay the revenue to the Britishers, what will they do? In such a situation, Britishers will seize their land. And for a peasant, his land is everything for him. True? So, in such a scenario, this peasant, he goes to the money lender, who is oftenly referred as Sahukar. And this money, he will take loan from money lender. Now, as a part of Rayatwari system, the peasants are dually exploited. How the peasants are dually exploited? If the peasants are unable to pay the land revenue or the taxes, the Britishers will seize their land. On the other hand, if the peasants are unable to pay the proper interest rate and the loan to the money lender, he will seize the land. So, as a part of Rayatwari system, peasants were dually exploited. So, what happened during the Deccan riots? It is said that the money lenders used to exploit the peasants a lot. And in fact, they were being supported by the Britishers in that case. So, Deccan riots, many of them do believe that one of the major reasons for Deccan riots was American Civil War. Okay. Now, the basic question comes here is, how is American Civil War correlated to Deccan riots? I'll give you a small example. Britishers initially used to take cotton, or initially used to ask the peasants in the specifically in America to cultivate cotton, and they used to purchase cotton from there. But due to American Civil War, they asked the peasants in the Deccan region to cultivate cotton, and initially they offered lucrative prices for that, to which our peasants accepted. But after some time, the issue in the America got resolved. That is, American Civil War got ended. And now what happened? Again, Britishers revived the demand of cotton from America. So what will the peasants of Deccan do with this cotton now? Because hardly in India there was capital intensive industries. Because due to the policies of the Britishers, our rural industries were completely paralyzed. So Britishers said that we are not going to purchase cotton from the peasants in the Deccan region. And apart from this, money lender was saying, gave us the exorbitant interest rate. In such a situation, Deccan riots, see here the word is riots. The peasants got very angry, and the movement began from Supa village, which is located near Pune. With the passage of time, it spread to the other parts such as Nasik, Ahmednagar. All these are the important districts of Maharashtra. Okay, money lenders' houses were being attacked, zamindars' houses were being attacked. Apart from this, there was social boycott of these money lenders and zamindars. Okay, so this is nothing but Deccan riots. In fact, police help was sought, but police was unable to, tackle the situation there. Finally, army help was sought to suppress the Deccan riots. And then it is said that Deccan Agricultural Relief Act was passed. As per Deccan Agricultural Relief Act 1879, the peasants who are unable to pay the land revenue to the Britishers directly cannot seize their land. First of all, they have to increase the time limit. Is that clear? And most important aspect, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, it supported the cause of the peasants in the region of Deccan. Hope so the points are clear till here. Clear? Let's move ahead. Champaran Satyagraha. Okay. So if I ask question to you that M.K. Gandhi coined the term Satyagraha for the very first time, in which movement? 90% of the people will answer Champaran. Now listen to me very carefully. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, he was born at a place called as Porbandar in Gujarat. At a very early age, at a very young age, he was married. And after that, he goes to London to complete his degree in law. He was introduced to Bhagavad Gita for the very first time in London. After completing his degree in law, he registered himself at the Bar Council and started practicing as a lawyer. Now, he got an offer to work as a legal advisor for the company of Dada Abdullah or Sheikh Abdullah in South Africa. And he chose that offer. And he was given the first-class railway compartment ticket to come to South Africa. So as soon as he reached a station called as Pietermaritzburg, he was thrown out of the first-class railway compartment. And he was very astonished. So he goes to Dada Abdullah and Sheikh Abdullah and asks him, like, is this a treatment that was given to me, or is this the condition of every Indian and Asians living in South Africa? He comes to know that there are three kinds of Indians and Asians living in South Africa: indentured laborer, ex-indentured laborer, and Memon Muslims. Their condition was very derogatory. Like, for example, if I'm staying in South Africa, okay, if I have to purchase a bread from the nearby shop, I have to reveal a passport size of document to reveal my identity. I cannot use the footpath that was being used by Englishmen. If any Englishman is passing by, I had to kneel down in front of him. Forget about bowing down. I had to kneel down in front of him. That was the condition of Indians and Asians living in South Africa. So M.K. Gandhi decided to fight for the cause of Indians living in South Africa, and he coined the term Satyagraha in his newspaper Indian Opinion for the very first time in South Africa. Okay. Again, important fact I'll tell you. Many a times there could be a question. M.K. Gandhi, he attended the which session of Indian National Congress for the very first time? Majority of you will give the answer 1924 session at Belgaum. My friends, 1924 session of Belgaum was presided by M.K. Gandhi. In fact, it was the only session to be presided by M.K. Gandhi. M.K. Gandhi attended the session of Indian National Congress for the very first time in 1901 Calcutta. Okay. Now finally, in 1915, M.K. Gandhi comes to India and his political guru was Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji. Now Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji suggested him, before entering into the mainstream Indian politics, first of all, tour the entire India. Try to understand the grassroots realities. So in 1916 session, which was held at Lucknow, M.K. Gandhi participated. And here he met a local peasant whose name was Rajkumar Shukla. And Rajkumar Shukla, he spoke about the plight of the peasants in the region of Champaran. Like the peasants in the region of Champaran had to cultivate indigo under one system which is referred as Teen Kathia system. Now what is Teen Kathia system all about? Peasants had to cultivate indigo compulsorily on 3/20th part of their land. For example, if I have 20 bighas of land or 20 acres of land, compulsorily I have to cultivate indigo on 3 acres of my land. So this system was referred as Teen Kathia system. So Rajkumar Shukla ji, he spoke about the plight of the peasants in Champaran to M.K. Gandhi at Lucknow. Okay. In fact, speaking in bit depth and detail, it is said that he invited M.K. Gandhi to come to Champaran. M.K. Gandhi, he patiently listened to Rajkumar Shukla ji and he said that, yes, I'll come to Champaran. But he did not give any assured date. And he left for Kanpur. To his astonishment, again at Kanpur, Rajkumar Shukla ji met M.K. Gandhi and asked him, please give me the date when are you going to come to Champaran. Again, he left from Kanpur and he moved towards Sabarmati Ashram in Gujarat. And when M.K. Gandhi reached Sabarmati Ashram, he was astonished again because Rajkumar Shukla ji was waiting for him and said, when will you visit Champaran? Finally, M.K. Gandhi visited Champaran. And at that time, the district collector of Champaran was Hecock. He did not allow initially the entry of M.K. Gandhi into Champaran. But with the passage of time, it is said that M.K. Gandhi was allowed to enter into Champaran. And M.K. Gandhi came along with Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Mahadev Desai, A.N. Sinha, Mazhar ul Haq, J.B. Kriplani, and many other leaders. And finally, Champaran Agrarian Committee was created. And M.K. Gandhi himself was one of the members of Champaran Agrarian Committee. And finally, Teen Kathya system was abolished. So what do you need to remember about Champaran Satyagraha? Champaran Satyagraha is cornered around the system of Teen Kathya. Hope so the point is clear to all of you. Okay. Moving ahead with the next one. Kheda Satyagraha, 1918. Yes, guys, any question, any doubt, any query, please feel free to ask. Hope so the points are clear. Okay. Kheda Satyagraha. Now, Kheda Satyagraha, it took place in Gujarat. And the region of Kheda, it was hit by famine. And this famine had impacted 56 regions. Hence, it is also referred as Chappaniya Akal. Okay. Like it is said that approximately 17,000 people lost their lives. Now, what is the ethical responsibility and the moral responsibility of the government at this particular point of time? It is the ethical responsibility of the government to go for mitigation and rehabilitation efforts. First thing. And second responsibility of the government is to waive off the taxes, suspend the land revenue collection temporarily. Why? Because peasants are unable to pay the revenue. In such a situation, the peasants are unable to pay the revenue. On the other hand, Britishers increase the taxes by 23%. Can you imagine? The peasants are unable to pay the original revenue. And apart from this, you have increased the taxes by 23%. How will the peasants pay that? At this particular point of time, Vallabhbhai Patel ji emerged as one of the most important leaders of the peasants at this time. My friends, I did not use the word Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji. Why? Because till now, Vallabhbhai Patel ji was not given the title of Sardar. In fact, Vallabhbhai Patel ji was given the title of Sardar in Bardoli Satyagraha by the women of Bardoli. Is that clear? So Vallabhbhai Patel ji played a very active role in this movement. Now Vallabhbhai Patel ji, he launched no revenue campaign. No peasant is going to pay any kind of taxes to the Britishers. Now, he was being supported by Mohanlal Pandya, Ravi Shankar Vyas and Narhari Parikh. Now, finally what happened? Government, they came up with certain steps, and as per these steps, the land revenue collection was suspended for this year and next year. Okay. So here, as a part of Kheda Satyagraha, the taxes were increased by 23%, and finally, there was no taxation needs to be paid by the peasants. This was agreed by the government. Clear? Moving ahead. Eka movement, just remember the name. Eka movement, it took place in UP, precisely Hardoi, Bahraich and Sitapur. And the leader of the movement was Madari Pasi. Okay, just remember this. Madari Pasi was the leader of the movement, that is Eka movement. Then, let's talk about Mopla rebellion. Now, Mopla rebellion, in fact, this movement was given a communal overtone by the Britishers. How? Let's understand about this. Moplas are the Muslim peasants in the region of Kerala. Okay. Now, what used to happen in certain parts of Madras Presidency, precisely in southern part of Madras Presidency, Zamindari system of land revenue was there. And at that particular point of time, as we have seen previously, Zamindar used to act as a middleman between whom? The Britishers and the peasants. So at this particular point of time, Zamindar used to collect the revenue from the peasant and give it to the Britishers. Correct? Now, majority of the Zamindar here were Hindus and the peasants here were Muslims. So the actual problem should be between the Zamindar and the peasant, but this movement was given a communal overtone. Correct? And the Mopla peasants revolted against the Zamindar. Okay, like there was like violent activities during this Mopla revolt. Okay, like Kunja Haji Ahmad and Ali Musliar were the leaders of the revolt. Now, police was called, Malabar Special Police was being created. Okay, and there was a brutal policy of suppression that was being adopted by the Britishers. Now, many of the historians do believe that this movement was anti-Hindu plus anti-British. Now, we can understand why it was anti-Hindu, but why it was anti-British? I'll give you a very simple example. Mopla revolt is oftenly referred as extended version of Khilafat movement. Please remember this statement. Mopla revolt is also referred as extended version of Khilafat movement. Why? Example. Precisely during the World War I, Turkey was on opposite side of Britain. And Turkey, it's a Muslim nation. And the ruler of the Turkey was oftenly referred as Caliph. After the end of World War I, Treaty of Versailles and Treaty of Sevres were signed. And it was a very humiliating Treaty of Versailles for Germany, and Treaty of Sevres was very humiliating for Turkey. Like the territorial boundaries of Ottoman Empire were reduced. Then democratic form of government was imposed on Turkey. All the Muslim symbols were being destroyed. The position of Caliph was being abolished. And this hurted the sentiments of Muslims across the world, including the Muslims in India. And there began Khilafat movement in India. So immediately after that, Mopla revolt took place. So specifically, the peasants were initially against the Zamindar, who were Hindus, and they were also against the Britishers. Hence, Mopla revolt is also referred as extended version of Khilafat movement. Hope so the point is clear. Moving ahead. See, K.M. Munshi and Lalji Narenji resigned in the support of this, and M.K. Gandhi, he addressed the Mopla meetings specifically to maintain the unity at that particular point of time. Okay, just remember this. Now, one more important thing. This is nothing but Bardoli Satyagraha. I forgot to mention the title here. Now, Bardoli, it is located in Gujarat. Okay. And here, again, there was a same situation. Like the peasants, like from 1925 to 1928, there was continuous floods and famines in this region. And the agriculture was highly impacted. In such a situation, what is the ethical and moral responsibility of the government? The ethical and moral responsibility is to waive off the taxes. True. Here the taxes were increased by 22%. Some of the books such as Spectrum highlight this as 30%, but majority of the books says that it is 22%. So precisely speaking, they increase the taxes by 22%. Now, Vallabhbhai Patel ji again assumed the leadership role, and it is said that Vallabhbhai Patel ji, he started 13 chhavnis, 13 camps. And the major responsibility of these chhavnis and the camps was to go for mitigation and rehabilitation efforts. Okay, the works that needs to be done by the British government was done by Vallabhbhai Patel ji. In fact, women of Bardoli also supported Vallabhbhai Patel ji and gave the title of Sardar to Vallabhbhai Patel ji during Bardoli Satyagraha. In fact, two important leaders, K.M. Munshi and Lalji Narenji, resigned in the Bombay Legislative Council. And finally, Britishers came up with a new commission which is referred as Maxwell-Broomfield Commission. And they did not increase the taxes by 22%, but they increased the taxes by 6.03%. So, what is the major difference between or similarity between Kheda and Bardoli Satyagraha? Similarity is the leaders are same. That is Vallabhbhai Patel ji and M.K. Gandhi. And the difference, in Kheda Satyagraha, taxes was increased by 23%. In Bardoli Satyagraha, it was increased by 22%. Final outcome in Kheda Satyagraha was peasants did not have to pay the taxes. And the final outcome here was peasants had to pay only 6.03% as a tax. Is that clear? So please do not get confused between Kheda and Bardoli Satyagraha. Okay? Then, these are the factual things that you need to understand. The All India Kisan Sabha, it was founded in Lucknow in April 1936. President was Swami Sahajanand Saraswati ji. Then General Secretary was N.G. Ranga. Okay, other members of the Sabha were Ram Manohar Lohia ji, Acharya Narendra Dev ji, and Jai Prakash Narayan ji. Okay, then there were provincial movements, specifically the peasant movements in the provinces, and the leaders were in Kerala, as we have seen, Ali Musliar and Kunja Ahmad Haji. Andhra, N.G. Ranga, P.C. Joshi, Ajay Ghosh, R.D. Bharadwaj. Bihar, Sahajanand Saraswati, Karyanand Sharma, and Rahul Sankrityan. In fact, Rahul Sankrityan played a very active and a major role in the non-cooperation movement as well. And in the Punjab Naujawan Bharat Sabha, precisely of Bhagat Singh ji, and finally comes the Kirti Kisan Party. Okay, so these were the peasant movements that were active at the provincial level. Hope so the points are clear. So, yes, Krishna ji, any doubt, any question, any query? Okay. My friends, as a part of Civil Services Day, okay, which was on 21st of April. So, StudyIQ IAS has come up with 50% off, flat 50% off on all the courses across StudyIQ IAS platform. The batches are available in bilingual. They are available in precisely in Hindi. And the most important one, there's a complete separate batch in English medium that will suffice to the needs of the students precisely from Southern India and Northeastern India. All the subjects would be taught to you completely in English, rather it be history, geography, polity, economy, science and tech, current affairs, everything. Apart from this, there would be a mentor who would be guiding you throughout your journey for civil services preparation. Then there's a free mentorship by the UPSC toppers. And the sale is going to end on 24th of April 2026. So 24th of April 2026 is the last day of the sale. That is today. Okay. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen to get the benefits of these batches. I repeat the code Alok Live. Is that clear? So with this, I'll stop my words for the day. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you and have a very nice day. Bye-bye everyone. Jai Hind.